Welcome to my latest case, The Secret of the Old Clock. To start, choose Junior or Senior Detective. If you're new to adventure games or need some help, click on Tutorials.
The year, 1930. The place, the road to Titusville, where we find Nancy Drew behind the wheel of her blue roadster, pondering this question. Why did Emily Crandall, a girl whom Nancy knows only through their mutual friend Helen Corning, ask Nancy to drive all the way out to the Lilac Inn to see her? Does it have something to do with the fact that Emily's mother died barely a month earlier, leaving Emily to run the restaurant with only her guardian to help her? And more important, why, when she called, did Emily sound so desperate? The spunky teenager turns off the main road, blissfully unaware that Emily isn't all that awaits her at the end of the driveway. No, Nancy Drew is about to get her first taste of the mystery, intrigue, and adventure that are to become her destiny.
Well, hello. I'll bet my bloomers you're Nancy Drew.
That's right. Are you Emily's guardian?
You got it. I'm Jane Willoughby. I'm Emily's guardian, but only for the next 3 months until she turns 18. Then she's on her own.
It smells like someone's been baking pies.
Pies are the Lilac Inn specialty. We get orders from all over. Oh, that reminds me, your father called. You're supposed to call him. You can use the coin phone on the porch. Emily didn't say anything about you coming until just this morning.
Is it okay that I'm here?
Don't get me wrong, she can invite anybody here she wants. It's just that she's gotten so darn forgetful lately.
Is she all right?
Well, now that's hard to say. She misses her mom, that's for sure. So do I. Gloria and me, we were best friends, you know? The two of us ran this swell little dress shop over in Capital City. But then she got hitched and I didn't. And the next thing I know, she's writing me saying it would sure take a load off her mind if I could take care of her little girl should something ever happen to her.
Emily's father?
Died in the war. Cantigny, I think. Anyway, I couldn't say no. I mean, what are best friends for? I just wish I knew how to help Emily.
Help her do what?
She's been acting so... Look, go talk to her. She probably just needs to spend some time with a bearcat like you instead of some dumb Dora like me. Go on up, she's in her room. Just make like a Boy Scout and be prepared.
Nancy, hi. Welcome to the Lilac Inn. Oh, and before I forget, thank you for that nice note you sent me when Mom died. It meant a lot to me.
Well, I lost my mom too, years ago. I kind of know how you feel.
You and I may not be best friends or anything, but you're still one of the nicest people I know.
You obviously need to get out more.
That's why I'm hoping you'll do me a favor, a big favor. You and your dad?
My dad?
Helen says he's a lawyer.
Shh! What's wrong?
I thought I heard something. Your father has a safe, right?
You need to put something in a safe?
See this jewelry? I'd like you to take it home with you and put it in your father's safe.
It's beautiful.
It was my mother's. The few times I saw her wear it, she looked just like a movie star. I was hiding it here in my room, but all things considered, I'd feel a lot better if you would just take it home and have your father lock it up in his safe.
What do you mean, all things considered?
Strange things have been going on around here. That's all I can say. I know it sounds loony, and Jane probably told you that I've been acting loony, but please do this for me. What was that?
Emily, come downstairs, quick! The kitchen's on fire!
Come on, we better get out of here.
This is horrible, just horrible. The fire chief says the stove was completely destroyed and there's smoke damage everywhere. The inn will have to shut down for months, maybe even for good.
Does he know what caused the explosion?
It looked to him like one of the burners on the stove had been left on. The flame either went out or was never lit, but anyway, something made a spark, and boom. He said insurance companies are very reluctant to pay out when things look hinky, and that's when times are good.
Who was in the kitchen this morning?
Emily was the last person to use the stove. Like I said, she's been real forgetful lately. I think she's pretty upset, but it's not her fault. What with her mom passing away barely a month ago, and me showing up, this total stranger who doesn't know the first thing about kids or running a restaurant, and her trying to do everything all by herself. It's just too much, that's all. Who wouldn't go a little off their nut? I better get that. The line to the regular phone got burned up in the fire, so now the only phone we got is the coin phone on the porch. Excuse me.
Oh, no!
Emily?
My mother's jewelry! It's gone! Someone must have stolen it while we were all downstairs. I knew something like this was going to happen. I just knew it.
You mean this sort of thing has happened before?
Yes. No. I'd rather not say, but I will say this. I did not leave the stove on. That fire was not my fault. Oh, what am I going to do? Without that jewelry, I don't have a prayer of paying for a new stove, and without a stove, I'll have to sell the inn, and if I lose the inn... I wish Mom were still here. I wish Josiah Crowley had left us the money like he always said he was going to. That's what I wish.
Who's Josiah Crowley?
He was this old man that lived next door. He died last year. He spent most of his time here at the inn, and he led my mom and me to believe that he'd left a lot of money for us in his will. He gave us a clock, and afterwards, he'd always point to it and get this little twinkle in his eye and say, "Time will tell." But when they finally found his will, he didn't leave us a penny.
Maybe he didn't leave you anything because he didn't have anything.
Oh, he didn't act like it, but he was rich. His estate was worth almost $250,000. Everything went to Richard Topham. He's this man who claims to be able to help people develop their paranormal powers.
Why do you suppose Josiah left everything to him?
Josiah was kind of a screwball. One time he showed up at my birthday party dressed as my great-aunt Harriet. I didn't know it was really him until 2 days later. Anyway, he had all these weird hobbies, and he always thought it would be really keen to read minds. Josiah invited Richard Topham to move in so Topham could help him develop his paranormal powers right there in his house. Josiah was a sweet old man, and I do miss him, and he was free to give his money to whomever he wanted. But to get our hopes up like that, and then leave us nothing, it just wasn't like him.
Was your mother's jewelry insured?
Gosh, I forgot about that. I don't know. Jim Archer, I bet he'd know. He's our banker. I guess I should go talk to him.
Not one of your favorite people, huh?
Oh no, Mr. Archer's very nice. For a stuffy old banker. I'm just so bad at business things. And Jane, my guardian, she tries hard, but she's no good at it either. Maybe you could go talk to him. Please? It would be such a big help.
I guess.
He runs the Main Street Bank. You can't miss it. I'll call him and tell him you're coming.
Where is Richard Topham now?
He still lives in Josiah's house, which is right down the path out back. His house and the inn were built at the same time by two brothers during the Civil War.
How many people knew you kept your mother's jewelry in here?
No one. Well, Jane, my guardian, she knew, but I didn't tell anyone else.
I'll be back in a little bit.
Don't forget to call your father.
Is this your sewing machine?
Actually, that belonged to my mom. She and Jane used to be dressmakers. Mom was going to teach me how to use it, but she never got the chance.
So, is Emily all right?
Someone stole her mother's jewelry.
What?
She was showing it to me just before the explosion. Now it's gone.
Someone stole it while everybody was rushing around trying to put out the fire? Hypers! If you can't trust a fireman, who can you trust?
Emily said you were the only one who knew she had that jewelry.
When Gloria was alive, she could have told people about it, or people may have seen her wearing it. And when she died, they knew the jewelry had to be around here somewhere, right?
Does anyone in particular come to mind?
Sorry. It's been hard enough getting to know Emily, let alone anyone else in this backwater burg. Well, guess better go call the sheriff.
Is that your car I saw when I drove up the driveway?
My old rust bucket's parked out back where nobody'll see it. Be nice to buy something decent, but last time I checked, my last name was Willoughby, not Rockefeller.
Well, I'll talk to you later.
Alrighty-dighty.
Drop a nickel into the slot, please. There we go. Now, how may I be of service?
I'd like to talk to Carson Drew. His number is KL57187.
Hang on a minute.
Carson Drew speaking.
Hi, Dad.
Well, I see you got to Titusville okay.
I got your message. Is something wrong?
No, everything's fine. I need to get some documents from a colleague over there. I thought since you were in the area, you could pick them up, save him paying postage.
Sure. What's the address?
He said he'd just leave them for you at the telegraph office. Just drive into town and look for Tubby Telegrams. He said you can't miss it.
Will do.
These papers are extremely important, Nancy.
I will pick them up, Dad.
Good. Remember, watch your gas gauge and get gas when you're low so you don't run out. And try to avoid potholes. The more you hit, the likely it is you'll wind up with a flat.
Yes, Dad.
And if you do get a flat, take it off and put on your spare, and then head straight to a gas station and get it fixed.
Yes, Dad.
All right, lecture over. Have you found out why Miss Crandall asked you to visit?
She wanted me to have you lock her mother's jewelry up in your safe. Only someone stole it before I could take it with me.
Stole it? Good gosh.
That was right after the stove in the kitchen exploded.
The stove exploded? Sounds to me like you'd be well advised to cut your visit there short.
No, I want to find out what's going on. I have to find out what's going on.
You have to?
Well, yeah, you know. Emily just lost her mom, and she's worried about losing the inn, and her guardian's all wet when it comes to helping out, and...
And the truth is, you are so curious that you feel like you'll absolutely burst if you don't find out why all these weird things have been happening, right?
Yes.
Don't worry, I know the feeling. You're a chip off the old block, I'm afraid. Well, as long as you're like me in one other way, you should be fine.
What way is that? Smart?
Careful.
If somebody says they're going to leave you something in their will and then doesn't, is there anything you can do about it?
Not a thing. Whatever's in writing is the only thing that counts, unless, of course, the will was tampered with or forged, and you can prove it. If not, you're out of luck. Why do you ask?
Emily's neighbor, Josiah Crowley, told her and her mom that they were going to inherit part of his estate. But when he died, his will left everything to this ESP expert named Richard Topham.
That's too bad, but this Crowley fellow was free to leave whatever he wanted to whomever he wanted, I'm afraid. People do change their minds, you know.
I met Emily's guardian, Jane. What does a guardian do, anyway?
A guardian is pretty much a surrogate parent. Jane is legally responsible for Emily's physical and financial well-being.
Jane doesn't strike me as being the parental type. In fact, I get the impression she's in way over her head.
Fortunately for her, it's not forever. Most guardianships end when the ward turns 18, and then both Jane and Emily will be free to do whatever they please.
You'd think Emily's mom would have chosen somebody a little more competent to take care of her only child.
Things aren't always as they appear. Maybe she's not as bad as you think.
Or maybe she's worse.
Don't tell me you think Emily's guardian stole the jewelry. Good grief, where did you get such a suspicious mind?
I think it was from the person who has always told me that the best way to solve a problem is to look at all the possibilities. Dad.
I did say that, didn't I?
Goodbye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Check.
Got it. Looks like someone recently had a key appraised. Oh, a miniature golf course! Swell! Interesting.
Over here, Miss Drew. Find the toy mouse and give it to Yuri, would you please? Otherwise, he'll just keep meowing. He hates strangers. How nice of you to drop by, and thank you for walking instead of parking in the driveway. I'm expecting a pupil. I'd hate for her to have to park on the road.
Mr. Topham,
Richard Topham at your service.
did someone tell you I was coming?
If one is to teach others how to develop and use their paranormal gifts, it's only logical that one must possess such gifts oneself.
I hope I'm not disturbing you.
I was in the process of trying to make these spoons move by using nothing but my own psychic energy. Have you ever focused sunlight through a magnifying glass until it was a minute yet searing point of light, Miss Drew?
Yeah, I guess.
You see, that's what I do with my cerebral emanations, my thoughts. I focus them until they're a beam of pure energy which ultimately disrupts and transforms the molecular force field surrounding the target object.
Is that what you teach people in your school? How to beam their thoughts?
I take them through exercises designed to help them increase their output of phantasmic energy. If you want to sign up for an introductory session, I believe I have an opening today.
What I'd really like to do is talk about Josiah Crowley.
Oh, I'm afraid I'm busy, young lady, far too busy to engage in idle conversation.
When would be a good time for me to come back?
I'll be blunt, Miss Drew. I've discovered that the more time I spend with the, shall we say, intellectually unendowed, the more my cerebral pulsations seem to diminish. I'm afraid I cannot speak to you further unless and until you prove that you are worthy. That is, that your brainwaves are not unacceptably inferior and thus deleterious to mine.
My brainwaves are just fine, Mr. Topham.
What I have here is an exercise in logic. If you can discern the correct solution, then I'll know that conversing with you will do me no psychic harm. You may take it with you. Good luck and good day.
That looks right. Am I smart or what? I'm getting there. That looks right. Am I smart or what?
Am I to assume that you have the correct solution to that logic problem?
I think I do.
Let's have a look. Why, you appear to have indeed found the solution. Well, since you've proved yourself to be intellectually above average, which means talking to you should do me no harm, what would you like to talk about?
When and how did you meet Josiah Crowley?
Last summer, while on my way to the university for a conference, I stopped for a bite at the Lilac Inn. Since it was crowded and I was in a hurry, I agreed to share a table with an elderly gentleman who, like me, was by himself. As soon as I told Mr. Crowley who I was and what I did, well, he insisted that I give him a training session that very afternoon, and was so thrilled with his progress that he demanded I stay and teach him everything I knew.
He was a good student?
The best. He had his annoying little habits, but his desire to realize his psychic potential was unparalleled.
Did you hear about the explosion and fire at the Lilac Inn this morning?
I heard the explosion and fire. Ruined my 9 o'clock session.
Did you hear that the inn might have to close for a while?
That's a shame. I rather like waking up to the odor of fresh-baked pies, and I rather like Emily Crandall, although I doubt the feeling is mutual.
Why do you think she doesn't like you?
The fact that Josiah left everything to me made some people around here, including Emily and now this Jane Willoughby, very bitter. It hurts me, of course, but it's human nature, I suppose.
Were you surprised when you found out that Josiah had left you everything?
Delighted? Yes. Surprised? Not really. Josiah was all alone, you see, surrounded by people like the Crandalls and that banker, Jim Archer, people who were nice to him only because they knew he had money.
What's in the carriage house that's out back, do you know?
That was Josiah's workshop. I assume it contains even more detritus.
Would it be okay if I looked around?
Go right ahead. The place is more like a museum than a house. Josiah was a man of many, many interests. I'll be right here if you have any questions.
Was this Josiah's clock?
Everything in here was Josiah's.
Wonder what this mirror's doing in here.
As you'll soon realize, Josiah's mental faculties were starting to go, I'm afraid. He tended to ramble. Very little of what he wrote in there makes sense.
What are you when you win barred bounce? What poet is the cat's meow? What will Para, my miniature golf course, get you? What's Gloria's middle name? Becoder is in the rivet. 2 to the right. It looks like Josiah lent a trivet to someone, but I can't make out to whom. Bottom's Q is in note to Gloria. The man on stage in this picture, is that Josiah?
Yes, that's from a production of A Midsummer Night's Dream that he directed and starred in. It closed after 2 nights, but he didn't care. He loved that play.